So I'm a brown girl. I like a little vanilla in my life, and I might one day be a white dude's wife. That's alright. Yeah, I got a type. Some people don't like it, but the swirl is the hype. When I see a cute guy, I always gotta think, is he down with the brown? If he is, we about to link. And I ain't talking about the TikTok boys looking for clout, cause we can see right through the facade. Gross me out. I wonder, will he ever like me back? Imagine liking white boys when you're black, especially when you're from the south.
If you want to date a white man, just date a white man. You don't need to come up with all of these excuses. You don't need to come up with all of these different lies. You don't need to go and try to judge people. You don't need to go and create all these narratives. Just say that you like a white man. Just say you like Zaddy, okay? Just say it. But like all these excuses as to why you have to date out, it's like, it's just bunk. And it doesn't really get to the core issue, because if you're trying to, again, escape Blackistan, okay, and escape the trauma from the quote-unquote ninjas and dusties, but you're not dealing with why you attracted ninjas and dusties, then you're probably not going to have success outside of the community. As I said before, if you can't learn how to get along with men inside of your community, how do you think you're going to be able to go outside of your community and get along well with men? And if you're coming with a whole bunch of different baggage, and if your narrative is black men ain't HE double hockey sticks, and I've had all these traumatizing relationships with black men, how is that going to be appealing to other races of men if they know you have all that baggage with your own men, by the way? So the best way for you to really swirl, it's certainly not to be self-hating, and it's certainly not to have all this baggage and garbage. It's like, if you are a beautiful woman with a beautiful spirit, then this wouldn't be an issue. And that's why I'm like, I wish we would just focus on that. I wish we would actually focus on, okay, are black women marriageable? We've already heard black men are marriageable. Okay, well, are black women? We've talked about that. We've talked about the weight issue. We've talked about the single parent household, which it don't matter what race of men you are. You got kids out of wedlock. You have kids that you're bringing to the scenario. A lot of men aren't interested. It don't matter what the race is. So that alone, like I said, between the weight, between the kid scenarios, in some instances, debt from school, that alone makes it harder for women to find the kind of men that they want. Then you want to talk about if there's any attitude involved. Then you want to talk about if there's any misandry, any male hatred, any baggage. That's a whole other component. But I'm like, if you just focus on just being a good, beautiful woman, then none of this stuff should be an issue. And I'm like, especially because I know she's talking to women who were supposed to be, women of God. She's a Christian woman talking to other Christian women. I'm like, as a fellow Christian woman, this stuff is bunk. You cannot say that you love God and hate the men who look like you. You can't say that. And what this kind of rhetoric is doing is showing hatred. Now, I know we wouldn't claim it. We'd say, oh, well, no, this is the facts. This is just the truth. But then we fail to actually provide receipts that show this is proof. And what it does is further drive away, and it further reinforces negative stereotypes that actually have the good black men going to grab the passport and go abroad. That's what it does. So first of all, you cannot be a woman of God and hate the men who look like you. That's just bunk. The word of God itself says, if you hate the person you can see, you cannot say that you love God who you can't see. So that alone is bunk. You can't be divesting and be a Christian. That's anti-biblical, period. Secondly, if you really are a woman of God, truthfully, if you allow God to take you through the process of purification, search my heart, right? A prayer you'll see in Psalms, or search me and know me, try me and know my thoughts. If you allow God to show you yourself, show you if there's areas in yourself where you're not marriageable, if maybe you are hard to deal with, if maybe you have a bad attitude, if maybe you're attracted to trauma, if you allow God to take you through your own purification process and you become that beautiful wife, then you're gonna have an easier time attracting what you want. Like attracts like. And as I mentioned before, in a society where 304s and thought culture is being promoted, you will stand out. You will absolutely stand out if you are that virtuous woman. The problem is a lot of us don't want to go through the process of actually trying to become a virtuous woman. And instead of focusing on that, it's easier to just point the fingers and say it's all these dusties, it's all these men that ain't got no common sense, it's all these men that are laid up there with the Becky or they're gay or whatever. It's so easy to find what men are not doing right, but it is not easy to look in the mirror and say, well, God, where am I doing wrong? But that's where the work starts. That's where the work starts. And if you're not willing to do that, then no amount of trying to divest or swirl or marry out or find Brad is going to fix it. It ain't. You have to allow God to take you through the process. This is why I was talking to somebody the other day. I was like, I don't even know, at least today, I wouldn't do a matchmaking service, because 95% of women wouldn't pass, just based upon the spirituality alone, we wouldn't get past step one. I'm like, we got to lay a spiritual foundation. Are you willing to give your life to God fully? And now go through the purification process of what that actually means. Are you willing to deal with your attitudes, your selfishness, the humility? Are you willing to submit to the authority in your life, whether it be a pastor at that particular time, and then when you get married to your husband, and then continue to go through that submission process? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to recognize that there's going to be things that you don't want, that you don't get? This is not about you getting all your goodies. You don't pray a prayer and then God just gives you a Chanel bag and a big old mansion and a car, because God, it's not like that. God may send you a dude that's don't have all the money in the bank, but he has a good heart and good character and he works hard. God may send you a dude that's 5'6" and you want to do that 6'5". Are you willing for that? There has to be humility involved. So it's like, are we even willing to go through the process? As I mentioned before, if we focused on being virtuous women, which is what women of God should be doing, right? Those who propose to follow Christ, if we focused on being that, then we wouldn't have to sit around and get caught up in all this BS nonsense that's been debunked like 5 times over.